in light of these allegations, does the president actually need to scale back the NSA's surveillance program?
He's going to be faced with a lot of public interest to do that, especially from our friends overseas. They're certainly going to want him to make some positive steps in their eyes to reduce the amount of spying that is apparently happening overseas.
And yet, isn't everyone sort of doing this? I mean, are we being naive to think that we're the only ones perhaps keeping track of what Angela Merkel's doing on her cell phone? Doesn't it go both ways? Can't we assume that China, Germany, Russia, that they're trying to listen to us as well?
Everybody that has the capability to do this is doing this today. And those that don't have the full capability are frustrated that they don't have it, and they're going to throw their arms up and say, this isn't fair. You know, they shouldn't be doing this. This is not the right thing to do.
So it seems to me, if everyone's doing this, then we're running a risk, if we're not doing it, of being behind the curve. Are we, Jake?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's why the president is definitely in a face-saving mode at this point. He's probably going to wait for that NSA review, the internal review, to come out before he makes any decisions which way he's going to go.
Okay, so what could he do right now to save face, do you think, Foster?
I think he's doing it right now. I think he's calling in his experts in the industry.
By saying he didn't know that this was really happening?
You have to believe him, first of all. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're doing from a country perspective that I'm sure don't float to the very top to say, here's some of the tactical things that we're doing. So I think he's being completely forthright and truthful to say, I didn't know that we were doing all these things. But the reality is, intelligence since 9/11 has taken a major shift. We have increased our capability here nationally, and I think globally our competitors, and meaning foreign states, have done the same exact thing as us. They've tried to take a race to intelligence.
This race to intelligence, this cybersecurity race, is it, do you think, Jake, overall a good thing for the world right now? Will it, in fact, keep us safer? Or are we embarking on dangerous territory where it is becoming very much a Big Brother society?
Well, it can be dangerous, and it certainly can have deep economic impact on American businesses. There was a recent survey that was conducted for cloud companies that basically suggested that American cloud companies could be expected to lose between $20 and $30 billion of sales overseas in the upcoming years because of these NSA allegations. So it is definitely something that will have
long-term business.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, understandable. And James, let me ask you, what happens when Germany's own WikiLeaks person comes out and says, hey, guess what? Snowden's not alone. I've got information on Germany. What then?
I think
that'd be great, right? Then we'd all be even.
That's right. If that was a leak for the entire global capability, I think that would be really interesting.
Well, as I listen to you, it sounds like we're doing it, which means they're doing it, which means there's some Edward Snowden out there who's likely to come out and say something. Wouldn't you think?
You'd certainly think so.
Barry, you don't think so?
Barry.
No, keep in mind, the United States has a much broader private contractor approach to national security, intelligence, defense. You know, you go to Germany, you go to other parts of China, their defense and intelligence networks are part of the government, not a series of subcontractors. You know, we've really gone through this weird process of privatizing big swaths of the defense establishment, and that's how you end up with a Snowden leaking. Normally, you end up with a rogue private leaking, which is what we saw in the original WikiLeaks. But it's unusual to see a senior person like that. I want to get to another discussion topic here, which Jake brought up earlier, and that's, what is this doing really to American business? I mean, if you're a business and you're perceived as having a closeness to the NSA, what does that actually do to your ability to sell around the world right now? And are there examples you can give us of businesses, of companies that do?
Well, certainly on the cloud, in the cloud environment, you're seeing a lot of pushback overseas about the connections that some American companies appear to have with the United States government.
So examples being?
Major cloud service providers that are doing business, whether it's Microsoft, Amazon, etc. There's a suggestion. There's an
or Google or any of the Facebook. I mean, how much information is being shared back to the government? I mean,
I think
it's one of the big questions.
I think it's bigger than just cloud service providers because it affects every business. If you look at some of the reports that came out, over 76% of all businesses in the United States today have been compromised. 76%.
Wow.
So that's small businesses, medium businesses, all the way up to the largest enterprises in the country, and affects them in two separate ways. If you've been compromised, your cost of operations and cleanup is now incurred. That means your margins are going down and your cost of operations is going up. Yeah. This is hurting America.
All right, let's listen briefly to General Alexander, who was speaking moments ago on Capitol Hill in a hearing. Listen in.
What we have found again and again and again is absolutely inaccurate reporting. And if we're going to have this debate, and we should, then we should do it on the facts that are presented before us. And if you've all done something wrong, I think General Alexander put it best, he knows that we can bring out the wire brush, and we have done it. But the way we go forward is to make sure that our programs are protected and the people, by the way, who have taken those oaths and who are doing their best not be demonized in the process. This is the time for leadership in a very dangerous and chaotic world. It is not a time to apologize.
Okay, that was not General Keith Alexander, who is head of the NSA. That was actually Mike Rogers, who is chairman of the Intelligence Committee. But what he seemed to be saying is that there's some bad reporting out there. Is that suggesting that maybe perhaps the U.S. is not listening in on these 35 world leaders?
Well, I would just say that I think one of the issues is the oversight that's taking place in the government today, and what you heard from Chairman Rogers is a frustration level from Congress about the administration's disclosure and NSA's disclosure over the years. But the fact is that Congress also needs to do a much deeper examination of some of these policies and practices and techniques, much deeper than what they've been doing in the past, to really have the comfort level to be able to go to the American people and say, we know what's going on and we approve what's going on.
Overall, Edward Snowden coming out, revealing all of this information, good or bad for America?
Awful.
Foster?
Awful for national defense.
You agree?
It's been the greatest compromise of American secrets in the history of our country, so I would say that's a pretty bad thing.
Irreplaceable, irreversible.